Stop! Before you buy that new car, you need to watch this video. Did you know that some car engines can run for over 1 million miles? That's like driving to the moon and back twice. While most car companies today brag about fancy touchscreens and self-driving features, I'm going to show you something way more important. Engines that just won't die, no matter how hard you try to kill them. And think about this. Most people get worried when their car hits 100,000 miles. But the engines I'm about to show you, they laugh at 100,000 miles. That's just their warm-up. Some of these engines are still running strong after 30 years. That's older than many of you watching this video. Let's talk about why this matters right now. The average new car costs over $52,000, and engine repairs can cost more than a year of college. Plus, with today's complicated engines full of tiny computers and sensors, finding one that will last is harder than finding a pizza place open at 3 a.m. But don't worry, I've got your back. I talked to mechanics, looked at repair records, and found real owners who've pushed these engines to the limit. What I discovered will shock you, especially number one on this list, which has been known to run longer than some car companies have been in business. Let's start with number 10, the Nissan VQ40DE engine, found in the Frontier and Xterra. This 4.0-liter V6 is like the superhero of truck engines. It came out in 2005 and has some really cool features that make it super tough. Imagine building an engine with parts so smooth, they're like bowling balls polished by a robot. That's what Nissan did with this engine's crankshaft. Plus, they coated the pistons with special material that makes them as slippery as a buttered up penguin. The best part, no timing belt to replace. It uses a chain that's built to last forever. Coming in at number 9 is Chevy's 5.3-liter Vortec V8, the LM7. This engine is like that one friend who can eat anything and never get sick. From 1999 to 2006, this engine powered countless Silverados. And guess what? Many of them are still running today with over 350,000 miles. The secret? It's built like a tank with 6 bolts holding each main bearing cap. Most engines only use 4. That's like wearing both a belt and suspenders. It's not going anywhere. Number 8 brings us to the legendary Jeep 4.0-liter inline-6 engine. This one's older than TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube combined. Built from 1984 to 2001, this engine is simpler than a peanut butter sandwich, and that's why it's so reliable. It's made of solid iron, block and head, and has 7 main bearings supporting the crankshaft. That's like having 7 bodyguards protecting a celebrity. These engines regularly hit 300,000 to 400,000 miles, and some are still going strong. The number 7 spot goes to Chevy's 5.7-liter small block V8, the L31. This engine was around from 1973 to 2000. That's longer than some marriages. It's got forged connecting rods, super strong metal parts, and an iron crankshaft that's tougher than your grandpa's handshake. The really cool part, the oil pump is like a fire hose compared to other engines' garden hoses. It keeps everything super lubricated. These engines often hit 500,000 miles before needing any major work. At number 6, we find Toyota's famous 22R engine. This little 2.4-liter 4-cylinder engine is like the Chuck Norris of the engine world. Nothing can kill it. Built from 1981 to 1995, it was so tough that even military vehicles used it. Think about that, an engine so reliable they trusted it in war zones. Some of these engines have gone over 1 million miles. That's not a typo, I said million. The Chrysler Slant 6 takes our number 5 spot. This engine got its name because it sits at a 30-degree angle in the car, like it's casually lounging around because it knows how good it is. Made from 1960 to 1987, this engine has 7 main bearings. There's that lucky number 7 again, and an oil system that's better at its job than a coffee shop barista during morning rush. These regularly hit 400,000 miles while yawning. Number 4 is Toyota's 2UZF-E V8, found in the first Tundras. This engine has cylinder walls thicker than a fantasy novel series and a block deeper than philosophical quotes on social media. The really crazy part, there's a documented case of one of these engines hitting 1 million miles. The owner just changed the oil regularly and drove it like normal. The legendary 7.3-liter Power Stroke diesel takes our number 3 spot. This Ford engine was built from 1994 to 2003, and it's basically the heavyweight champion of diesel engines. It's made of iron so tough, other metals look at it with envy. Commercial trucks with these engines regularly hit 1 million miles. That's like driving across America 333 times. Runner-up is the Dodge Ram's 5.9-liter Cummins diesel. This is the engine that other engines tell stories about around the campfire. Built from 1989 to 1998, this straight-six diesel is simpler than a flip phone but tougher than a $2 steak. Want to hear something crazy? Some of these engines have gone 2 million miles. That's not a mistake. 2 million. You could drive around the Earth 80 times. And finally, the champion of reliability, Ford's 300 cubic inch, that's 4.9 liters, inline six engine. Made from 1965 to 1996, this engine is the great-grandparent of reliability. It's got 7 main bearings, like having 7 backup plans, cooling passages bigger than some city water pipes, and an oil system that could probably lubricate a rocket ship. These routinely hit 400,000 to 500,000 miles while barely breaking a sweat. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever owned a car with one of these engines? How many miles did you get out of it? Drop a comment below and let me know. And if you've got a car with high miles, share your story. Let's see who's got the highest mileage engine in our community. Here's what we learned today. While new cars are getting fancier with tons of high-tech features, these old-school engines prove that sometimes simpler is better. Most of these engines are from the 1980s and 1990s, when engineers focused on making things tough instead of just adding more computers. I talked to John, a mechanic with 40 years of experience, and he told me something interesting. These engines were overbuilt. Today's engines are built to exact specifications to save weight and fuel. But these old engines, they were built like they were planning to use them on Mars. He's seen modern engines fail at 100,000 miles while these classics just keep running. If this video helped you learn about reliable engines, smash that like button harder than a Cummins diesel. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to see more videos about cars that are built to last. Next week, we'll look at why modern engines might never match these legends. Remember, the best engine isn't the one with the most horsepower. It's the one that's still running when everything else is given up.